10 data analyst jobs that can't find anyone and why you already qualify. Right now, 72% of employers on this planet say they cannot find the people they need. And in 2026, for the first time in history, the single hardest skill to find on earth is not welding and it is not nursing. It is the ability to look at data and tell somebody what it actually means. 10 jobs do exactly that. Most of them do not need a 4-year degree. And stay to the end because the last one on this list has more yearly openings than any other job in this entire video. Here is the engine underneath all 10 of these. Every hospital, every bank, every warehouse in this country is drowning in data it paid to collect and cannot read. The government projects data scientist jobs to grow 34% through 2034. That is roughly 23,400 openings every single year. Operations research analysts, 21%. The average American job grows 3%. One honest note before we start. These numbers come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and from live 2026 salary data. They are middle-of-the-road national figures, not promises. What you actually earn depends on your state, your industry, and how far you take it. Number one is the healthcare data analyst, and I'm putting it first because the gap here is the widest. The average sits at $100,419 as of June this year. Experienced analysts clear $140,000, and the top 10th go past $180,000. Hospitals cannot fill these chairs because the job needs 2 brains at once. You have to read a spreadsheet and understand what happens in a room with a patient in it. Software cannot do the second half. Now here is why you already qualify. If you have worked a front desk, run billing, handled prior authorizations, or spent years on a hospital floor, you already own the part they cannot teach. The analytics is the part you add on top, and it is the cheaper part. Number 2 is the business intelligence analyst, and this one is the most common door into the entire field. This is the person who builds the dashboard the executives actually look at on Monday morning. Entry-level analytics salaries and job postings climbed to about $90,000 this year, up roughly $20,000 in 12 months. Almost 40% of all analytics postings are entry-level, and here is the part nobody says out loud. A data analytics degree is not on employers' preferred education list. What they want is proof. The Microsoft Power BI certification costs $165 to sit. The Tableau Specialist exam runs $75 to $100. The Google certificate runs $200 to $300 total. That is your whole tuition bill. Number 3 is the fraud and financial crime analyst. Banks are legally required to staff these seats, which means the demand never turns off, and the shortage in financial crime compliance has been chronic for a decade. The average anti-money laundering analyst runs about $31 an hour, and analysts who combine fraud work with real data skills average closer to $38, which is around $80,000 a year. Entry level starts near $65. The credential is the CAM certification, and employers routinely list it above a degree. If you have ever worked a teller window, processed claims, run collections, or handled chargebacks, you have already been reading transaction patterns for a living. Nobody told you that was analytics. It was. Number 4 is the supply chain analyst. 79% of companies report labor shortages in supply chain roles right now, and the analyst seat is the hardest one to keep filled. Median pay lands near $87,750. Entry cites around $65,000, and mid-career pushes past $90,000. This job is forecasting. How much do we order? When does it ship? Where does it stall? If you have run a warehouse, dispatched trucks, managed inventory, or scheduled a production line, you have already done this work by instinct. The certification just puts a name on the instinct and a number on the paycheck. Now, quick pause, because this part is for the person over 40 who is watching this because something already happened. Maybe you gave a company 20 years and they decided you cost too much. Maybe you have sent out 50 applications and heard nothing back. You are not the problem. The system was built to read your experience as expensive and screen you out quietly. That is exactly why I wrote the 40-plus career playbook. It names the 4 wounds nobody warns you about. It has a recruiter language decoder, the 5 moves that work for older workers, and a 7-day plan you can start tonight. It is $9 for the first 100 people, and the link is pinned in the description. And real quick, tell me in the comments which of those first four you are looking at. I read every single one. Number 5 is the security and compliance data analyst. The numbers here are the starkest on the list. There are 4.8 million unfilled cybersecurity positions globally, more than 500,000 of them in this country alone, and only about 74 workers available for every 100 open roles. The entry-level security operations analyst averages $90,462. And here's the lane most videos never mention. Governance, risk, and compliance is policy and audit work. You are checking whether systems follow the rules, not breaking into anything. If you came from banking, insurance, healthcare compliance, or legal, that lane is wide open to you and you never have to touch a command line. Number 6 is the clinical systems analyst, and this is the highest paying job on this list you can get without ever leaving healthcare. These are the people who configure the electronic health record every doctor and nurse in the building types into. The Glassdoor average is $97,846. Top earners clear $154,000, and job postings on Indeed average $111,000. Here is the honest catch, and it is also the good news. The certification for this software cannot be bought. Your employer has to sponsor you, which means the standard road in is to get hired inside a hospital first in any role, then apply internally. Nurses, med techs, and billing staff walk through that door every week. Number 7 is the operations research analyst, and this one has the strongest government paper trail of anything here. Median pay, $91,290, 21% growth through 2034, about 9,600 openings every year. But look at where the money actually is. In the federal government, the median for this exact job is $136,700, and the top 10% clear $159,000. The Bureau of Labor Statistics notes plainly that many of these analysts are veterans of the armed forces. If you ran logistics, planning, or intelligence in uniform, this is the job your service already trained you for. Number 8 is the geospatial analyst, and this is the quiet one. Average pay around $75,000, but in utilities and telecommunications, the median jumps to about $90,000. Here is the number that matters. There are only about 28,000 of these analysts in the entire country. That is a tiny workforce holding up the power grid, the water systems, the fiber networks, and every emergency response map. Roughly a third of the work is remote. If you have done surveying, field service, route planning, or utility work, you have been standing on top of this career for years without knowing it had a title. Number 9 is the actuarial and risk analyst, and this pays the most on the whole list. The government median is $125,770, and this occupation sits in the top 15 fastest growing jobs in America. This is the person who prices risk for insurers and banks. Here is the honest flag, and it is a real one. You get in by passing exams, not by getting a diploma, and those first exams are hard, but that difficulty is exactly the wall keeping the pay this high. Nobody is going to accidentally flood this field. If you are patient and you are good with numbers, the ceiling here is not close to the floor. And number 10, the one I told you to wait for, the market research analyst. On paper, it looks like the most ordinary job here. The median is $76,950, which is the lowest number on this list, and I'm not going to hide that from you. So why did I save it? Because it has about 87,200 openings every single year. That is more than every other job in this video put together. It is not the end of the road. It is the front door. You get in, you learn the tools on somebody else's payroll, and you move sideways into healthcare analytics, into supply chain, into risk, where the money is. If you have worked in sales, marketing, retail, or customer service, you already know why people buy things. That is the whole job. So there they are. 10 analyst jobs that cannot find enough people. Every one of these is short on people, and everyone keeps telling you the only road up is a 4-year degree and $40,000 of debt. Meanwhile, the hardest skill on earth to hire in 2026 is sitting behind a $200 certificate and a portfolio you can build on your kitchen table. The information is free. What you do with it tonight is the only part that is up to you. This is Caleb Jackson. Keep climbing, subscribe to the channel, and click the next video for another interesting breakdown.